Hi, my name is Nakia, and I'm with Divine Elements of Design in the Decorator's Voice. I'm a certified interior decorator, professional organizer, and planning and productivity strategist. And if those are topics that you're interested in, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications. In addition to my YouTube videos, I also publish a blog, which is decoratorsvoice.com, and also I send an email newsletter to my membership list. If you would like information about either one of those, please see that information in the description box below. In addition to the blog, YouTube, and email newsletter, I also have a few courses, and that information is below. My first course is a free course, 5 Days to an Organized Life and Home. In the course of 5 days, you'll receive an email with me of information on how to have your home company ready at all times. Now, as the video suggests, I'm going to give you my 7 pros and cons of staying in an Airbnb. Yes, I love to travel. I typically travel for personal reasons, about 5 trips a year, and that's in addition to my business travel. So I've stayed various places throughout the world. But the last couple years I've been doing a lot more of the Airbnb when I do my personal travel. And I just want to share this information with you, some of the pros and cons. So let's get started with the pros first. The first pro is you actually get more bang for your buck. So when I'm getting ready to plan a business trip, or not a business trip, but a family trip, I look at the hotels that are in the chain that I like to travel with, and then I also look at the Airbnbs. So if it's me and like the entire family, we want like an entire residence, an entire home. We need more than just a room with 2 beds in it. You know, we have a lot of kids. So we need, a place for parents, a place for children, a place for, cooking, a place for all of that. So for me personally, the Airbnbs give me more of what I want. Although I have stayed at hotels that have suites, but I've just been able to get more bang for my buck if I do just an Airbnb. This works out really good for me, mostly when I do travel with the family. Now, a lot of times when I'm by myself, I may just do, a hotel or, an embassy suite or something like that. But when I'm with a family, it just seems like it makes more money, or makes more sense for me to save money when I do an Airbnb. In addition to saving money, there's also more options when you're looking for a residence or looking for a place with an Airbnb. I've stayed at, condos, single family homes, manufactured homes, everything you can imagine with the Airbnb. So there's actually more options just to fit your needs. For me, when I'm staying at an Airbnb, it's actually more comfortable. I can actually bring that comfortable feeling from home into the Airbnb experience. So more comfort is a big plus. When I was planning my travel for Hawaii last year, some destinations, like very, busy destinations or very touristy destinations, you're going to have resort fees, you're going to have parking fees. And when I found a couple hotels that I wanted to, the resort fee and the hotel fee was like, the parking fee was actually like an extra $100 a night. I'm like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. So, when you pick up an Airbnb, you don't have to pay some of those fees. So, perfect example, like I said, last year when I went to Hawaii, I stayed in a hotel, or actually it was, a condo downtown Waikiki, and the parking was included because the space had a parking space, and then there was no resort fee. So I really did appreciate that. It was much cheaper than the hotel that I stayed, 2 years ago when I went to Hawaii. Another thing I really like about staying at an Airbnb is that there's so many extras included without having to pay an additional cost. So when me and my family go on like a beach vacation, most of the times, in fact, all of the times, there's like umbrellas, there's beach chairs, there's sand toys, there's a cooler. I mean, they have all of that stuff there. There was even one Airbnb I went to like 2 years ago to New Smyrna Beach. They had like so much food and drinks and soda and beer and just all of that stuff unopened in the refrigerator ready for us. Last year when I was at Daytona Beach, the host had fresh cookies made for us, and when we got there they were warm. So those little nice extra touches really does help, and it makes it a lot more comfortable and more convenient. Another thing that I really appreciate about an Airbnb is that there are less distractions. You don't have to worry about all of these people running up and down the hotel um, hallway where you're trying to sleep, people knocking on the doors. There were just, so many people coming and going. It's like when you're in your Airbnb, it's like you're in your home and you don't have to worry about all of those outside distractions. Another pro is a host. Now, the host can actually be a pro and a con, but we're going to go ahead and discuss the pro first. So with your host, it's like your own personal concierge service. This is someone that is available to you. You can communicate with them through the Airbnb app. You can ask them questions. Every time I stayed in Airbnb, they were always there. They helped with any questions I had. If I had a suggestion like, hey, what's the best restaurant in the area? What do we recommend for XYZ? They've always been able to give that information to me. So having that host readily available is a definite pro. You can't have a good pro and con video without the cons. So here are the cons. One of my major cons with Airbnb is the housekeeping services. Unlike when you're in a hotel, when you have the housekeeping that's pretty much there all the time, they're knocking on your door to make up your bed, replace your towels, bring you whatever you need. When you're in an Airbnb, typically you're not going to have housekeeping. Now, they will have, most of the times, washer and dryer. So if you think that's something that you will need, like fresh towels, fresh sheets, fresh clothes, and whatnot, definitely make sure you book an Airbnb that has a washer and dryer. But typically, there's no one there to make up your bed. No one there to bring you fresh towels. So now there are services, but like I said, we're just talking about traditionally with an Airbnb. When you're in an Airbnb, there are more rules than a traditional hotel. Now, the last one that I stayed in Myrtle Beach, I've never been to an Airbnb that had this many rules. They, had a sheet of like all your do's and don'ts. And if you wear makeup and you put makeup on their towel, and it doesn't wash out, they're going to charge you to replace the towel. You can't have guests. Now, I've never been in an Airbnb that said you can have guests before, so this is the first one. They're like, they wanted to know how many people were going to be there. I was a family of 6, and they wanted to know like the ages of everyone, their names. They wanted to know like what vehicles we were going to have. They were just really, really picky. So that is one thing, that there are more rules. They tell us, quiet time is at 9 o'clock. You can only drive 15 miles an hour in the neighborhood. I mean, it was just so many rules. Make sure you take the trash out. Make sure you do this. Make sure you do that. Put all the towels in the laundry room. Now, typically, when you're in a hotel, you don't have those rules. They have industrial strength everything, and you just have fun. But when you're in Airbnb, you're actually, showing them a little bit more, respect, because it is someone's home. So you're making sure that you're not damaging anything, because it's not some big corporation like the Hilton Corporation that can just go through and replace something for, pennies on a dollar. No, this is an individual person's home or a family's home. So there are going to be more rules. Another con is the neighbors. Now, I know you're thinking, the neighbors, what does a neighbor have to do with this? But if you're in an Airbnb, whether you're in a single family home or a condo or community, typically neighbors do not like Airbnbs. They don't want Airbnbs in their areas. And some cities and some states have newly adopted ordinances to, not allow Airbnbs in their area. So the neighbors, and I understand, because, I'm a homeowner and I wouldn't want an Airbnb. Well, like I said, I wouldn't want an Airbnb in my area or my neighborhood, but I wouldn't want a lot of random people, coming and going. I know that everything is fine. I mean, who's to say you don't have a bad neighbors move in permanently? But, it's kind of, people are a little more leery of, having Airbnbs, because they can have a big party. You don't know who these random people are. You don't know what the guests are going to have. If you have a homeowners association, there are just so many rules. So the neighbors may not be the most friendliest, because they don't like the whole Airbnb thing. So if you like to, go out jogging in the morning, you may get some dirty looks. You may get some questions. So you may not just have that welcoming feeling that you normally have when you travel. Another con is, when you're staying in an Airbnb, you may not have that vacation mode. Now, for me, because I have a large family, I have a lot of kids, when I'm traveling, I'm still having to do the mommy stuff. And I don't have, the housekeeping to come in and make my beds for me. So I'm still having to pick up after my kids. I'm still having to make sure that they're doing what they're having to do. I'm still having to, make sure the trash is taken out. I'm still having to fuss at kids about, going to sleep. Now, of course, these are things that, you can do at a hotel, but when you're in an Airbnb, it's like you're just living at home someplace else. So you don't have that whole vacation mode feeling. It feels good to be there, but you're still having to do like basically everything. If you have a kitchen at that you're gonna like maybe cook breakfast and you all eat out for dinner, you're gonna have to wash those dishes because it's an Airbnb. You don't have a maid service there. Now you can opt to have someone come in and do these things for you, but typically, you're kind of doing it yourself. Earlier, I talked about the advantages of the host, but there are some disadvantages. So, perfect example, last year when I went to Hawaii, I was very cooperative with my host. I told him everything, my flight lands this time. I think the check-in was like at 4 o'clock and my flight landed at 4. So I still had to get my luggage, get my rental car, and then drive from the Honolulu airport all the way to Waikiki in that traffic. And if you've ever been to Hawaii, there is traffic. I lived there for 8 years, and I tell you, I was not a fan of the traffic. So I was thinking, okay, I told them, I would be back to the room, about 5 o'clock. I got there at 5 to, the Airbnb outside, and they're like, they don't have a digital key access. I would have to wait for the host to bring me the key. Well, the host had someone else bring me the key, and I texted them or messaged them. I said, hey, I'm here. It's after 5 o'clock. I said, I will be here at 5. Where is the key? I'm ready. I've been on a 12-hour flight. I had layover in, I forgot where it was, but I was ready to just relax. I was ready to, put my things down, put on my swimsuit, hit the pool, go to the beach, just relax and enjoy Hawaii. And the host was like, the host contacted the person, and the person was like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot. They were on a whole other side of town. Now, Hawaii does not have free parking downtown. So I had to like park in like not a fire zone, but like just an area, an unloading dock with my blinkers on, waiting, had to turn around and everything, waiting for the person to come there with the key, the physical key. So anyway, those are some of the things or some of the disadvantages of having a host instead of just a regular hotel. What if that person was in an accident? What if that person didn't answer the phone? What if that person forgot? So it isn't like I could just go downstairs and ask the manager to open a door for me. Then also, if you have a host that's kind of talky, because after she gave me the key and then she, showed me where it was, she wanted to talk to me for a while, ask me where I was from and all these things. I'm like, look, lady, I'm ready to relax, enjoy Hawaii, go. So the host can have its advantages and then also their disadvantages. Thank God I've never had to experience this, but I've heard messages or I've heard situations to where someone goes all the way to their location and the property isn't available. Maybe it's already been double booked, or the property owner took it off of Airbnb at the last minute, and then you're like, wow, where am I going to stay? So it is not like a chain where they can put you someplace else. You can literally be at a location and not have a place to stay. So I have heard those horror stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I would hate for anything like that to ever happen to me. But that is a chance that you're willing to take. And Airbnb, the company, could only do so much because they don't have properties. It's individual properties owned by individual people. And last but not least, as for the cons, the booking process is not as fast as if you were doing a traditional hotel or a resort. You can easily go to Marriott.com, book a hotel, bam, you're there. But with Airbnb, you have to find the place, and then you have to request it, and then the Airbnb host have to approve it. So it's not something that can be done like in a matter of seconds. I mean, it can be done in a matter of seconds, but you have to be realistic. The person isn't sitting there on their phone or sitting there on their laptop waiting for someone to reserve a spot. So you have to wait for them to, approve it and go through all the hoops. You've had to update, like I think your ID card and all of those other things, initially just even get the Airbnb account, and then you have to wait for them to, approve you to book with them. And they may have additional questions. So like example with my Myrtle Beach one, I had to go back and after I clicked to reserve, they had to tell me, well, we require a $295 security deposit, and we have all these rules. Here are the list of rules, no guests, no yada, yada, yada. You have to adhere to all this stuff and agree to it prior to booking. So I had to go through, read all the rules, make sure there was nothing weird in there, and then also agree to the $275 or $295 security deposit. So the process is a little bit longer. So if you wanted something like really, really fast, it's not going to be really, really fast. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope the information I provided you can help you determine if you want to stay in a traditional hotel or resort or an Airbnb. Now, if you are a homeowner and you want to put your home on the Airbnb, I think that's excellent. In fact, you know, that's something that I'm thinking about doing, not for my primary residence, but for additional residents, additional homes. I'm really thinking about, you know, doing the whole Airbnb thing. So if you are a Airbnb host and you have information, leave that in the discussion box below. I would love to hear your experiences. So I hope you found this information informative and useful. Please give this video a thumbs up and then also subscribe. Thank you very much and have a divine day.